Hi, welcome back to Unique Minds of the Okanagan. I'm Rob O'Day, and we are on location in Penticton with Julie Fowler and Paul Crawford of Ignite the Arts Music Festival. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Very well.
Let's hop in right away with Julie. Why don't we start in with how you got in, where you're from, and how you became a director of festivals, and how many you've done.
Yeah, okay. So I am originally from Vancouver. That's where I grew up. And that's where I first started doing events, actually. My friend Ruthie Sumiko Tabata, she had this idea to do these living closet events. And it was this idea of like getting your friends to take their art out of the closet and put it up. So we were at UBC, we were students. She was renting a house, basically got artists to put art on the walls. Any performances, dancers, musicians could perform. We'd have these epic parties where the music and everything, people performing, went into the wee hours, and that just kind of grew. And it like a snowball going down the hill, it gathered more people. And I remember the last one that I was involved with before I moved to Montreal. It was at Malcolm Bowl in Stanley Park. And we had like this art tunnel we built so we could put up paintings, and we had 2 different stages and spoken word poets and musicians, and nobody was there except for the artists, basically, because we had no idea what we were doing. That was back in 1997. And then I moved to Montreal, got involved in the arts there. I was moved there with my friend Ruthie, and then we both helped to start a festival actually in Montreal called Art Matters. It's still running. This year was the 25th anniversary of the Art Matters Festival. It's the largest student-run art festival in North America now, apparently, at Concordia University. And it celebrates, Concordia has a great visual arts and music and fine arts program. So I was there for 2001. That was the first year. And then I graduated and left. And then a group of us who were involved with that actually ended up in Wells. So that's where we met when I was helping to run the Arts Wells Festival up there. And that was interesting that a group of us from Montreal, and it was my friend Beth who first moved up to Wells, and she had gone to Concordia in visual arts. She was from Ontario originally and wanted to go do art in the mountains. And literally typing that into Google back in 2000, Mountain Arts, British Columbia, she found the Island Mountain Arts webpage, which was the umbrella organization that ran Artswells.
Okay.
So she got a job at Island Mountain Arts because she found their website and they happened to be hiring. And so she bought a car, drove out to Wells, and that's how I ended up going up to Wells to visit her. And I was like, oh, this is a cool artsy community, because Island Mountain Arts had actually been running since 1977 up in Wells. So it was doing a School of the Arts. It had a little gallery, and a number of artists had moved to Wells over its history, because it was attracting artists there. So it seemed so logical to then do a festival in Wells. And Paul was doing a festival in Wells already. He had already lived up in Wells. He was doing the 1 Minute Play Festival. So that's how we met, was up in Wells. And I said, do you want to put your 1 Minute Play Festival together with this new festival we're doing in Wells? And he was a little apprehensive, but decided to join in. And the rest is kind of history. And of course, pandemic came along in 2020, and that was the last 2019 was the last Artswells that I was part of. It's the last Artswells, I guess, that's happened in person. They are planning one this year, so I hope that goes really well. But down here, Paul thought we should start another festival, Ignite the Arts. So we've just had the 4th year of Ignite the Arts. So
You also work with Two Rivers Remix, right? So what's your role with them?
Two Rivers Remix is an incredible Indigenous festival organization. More than a festival, really. They do these movable feast events where they go into different Indigenous communities all around BC, and they have amassed the staging, the production, and the crew to show up in a remote location. They've got an electric truck, which then can actually power up a stage. So they actually can go in and start live streaming an event pretty much from the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And they have been. They've been doing that and bringing contemporary Indigenous music and art combined with the local artists of that area that they go into. Yeah. It's the long answer.
It's a good answer because, I mean, Wells, like Arts Wells was, I played at a lot of festivals, like we were saying upstairs, though. Arts Wells has probably been one of my favorite because it's not a music festival. It's the entire town is a giant gathering of like-minded creative people there for one thing, and that is art. Where music festivals are, a lot of the time I find people are there to enjoy the music and party. And the artists are there to enjoy other artists. So getting to even be a part of Wells and Arts Wells was a magical thing because I think bringing what you guys had created up there down here has only strengthened that fire that was there already with a bigger area to expand to. Because Penticton, how many venues do you guys have during the festival?
I kind of say 10 plus.
Yeah, I was going to say easy 10.
There's some that are just used, like the Beehive Yoga Studio did nap time this year. So that was a small piece of the festival, but an important one. This year we actually had a winery, Hillside Winery, who did, they featured writers from Penticton out there in the tasting room. The Hub was a venue for our Drag Kings performance. So that was a workshop that happened by the Arts Council in the week leading up to the festival. They did a Drag Kings workshop, and then the performance was part of the festival, and that was at the Hub, as well as SOS Pride hosted a Day of Trans Visibility brunch at the Hub, but it wasn't a regularly programmed all weekend long venue, whereas the Brit Bar and the Dream Cafe and Highway 97 Brewery and Cannery Brewing and the Elks Hall and Tempest Theater and the Legacy Den, those were kind of our ones running all weekend long. Did I miss anything? Well, the art gallery that we're in here right now, the Penticton Art Gallery, of course, is the umbrella organization. So in their tea room throughout the weekend, there was workshops and some performances, and then of course, encouraging people to come in here. Actually, there were some performances right here in the gallery, which was really beautiful. Yeah.
And that's what I love about a festival like this, opposed to like one that has one band or two bands and two stages. And, like here it is a choose your own adventure. Like whatever space you enter into is most likely something you would never seek out knowingly on your own. But in the process of doing so, you discover that there's a whole other world of stuff that you can open your worldview, can change your worldview on things or, everything else. And so that to me is the magic of having these sort of multi-venue festivals, because it is, every door you open could just change your life in ways you'd never have expected. So, yeah.
It's a good way to put it, a choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how I would describe Wells. Like Arts Wells was so fun. You had a little stage on the side of, I think it was like a trailer, and that's where we had the hip hop thing, and then you had like the bar, and then the school house had, what is their name? Blackberry Wood upstairs, and we were playing downstairs, and I swear the floor was gonna cave in because the people upstairs dancing to Blackberry Wood was just, those guys was the first time I ever seen those guys, and still to this day, one of my favorite bands. And seen them up there, and like you said, I would never go out of my way to find Blackberry Wood. If I saw them on a bill, I would just be like, that's a really weird act. But to sit there and watch them play as a group together, and how high energy, like bands say they're high energy, no one touches that level of energy. They are crazy on stage, and it's so fun to watch. And that is kind of what I enjoy about the festivals you guys put on, is they're not the same as anybody else's festivals. Like, there's such a different element of, it's like a deeper root in the arts versus just we're hiring bands to come play a festival.
That's kind of, it's true. That's sort of the ethos we've gone in with it, is, at least for myself, it's like I know for myself how healing and transformative the arts can be and what a lifeline they are for a lot of people. And that's what's driven me to do these kinds of things. It's usually not a very good business plan. And always, even like in this moment right now, I know there's people criticizing it never makes money. It's not making enough money and we shouldn't do it because it's not making money. It's like, like I know it's never going to be a moneymaker. And I'm so grateful for the artists also that contribute, because, there's no way you can have a festival like this if you're paying full freight on things, because it's not, again, there's, when you add up the ticket sales and you get some funding and you get a bit of this and a bit of that, but it is for, it has to be giving something back to people in other ways. And that's the thing that we can never, it's hard to value in our society. What is that thing that you're getting? It's not about money, and fitting the arts into our capitalist system is always a challenging thing, right? Because in a lot of cultures, these kinds of gatherings where you're sharing music and art is just woven into the culture, and it goes without saying the value of it and the importance of it. But we don't have that really in our Western capitalist. So always having to sort of justify the worth and the value, and when it's something that's like, oh, someone's happiness and their well-being, like, how do you put a price tag on that? You really can't. And so we're always battling that push of like, why are you doing this? Why is this important? It's not making enough money. And but I know deep down how important it is for the community and for the people that participate. And it's a really big, what's the word? Like, it's a big responsibility, I guess, to do those things. And I feel it. And a lot of times it's like, why do I do this? It's an Arts Walls. I mean, that was 16 years. We never had kids, but we birthed a festival. And then it's like funny that 16 years in, it's like, oh, well, it's got its driver's license. Now it's like off and driving on its own. But it was a big commitment of our lives to do that. But as Paul mentioned, like, seeing the ripple effects and, hearing your story is really gratifying to know that that was something important in your life. And I love hearing those stories, because it is a choose your own adventure. There's not one main stage where everyone's having this one collective experience. They're each having these moments in different ways. And I could never know what all the different, I'm not even seeing half or even a quarter of the things that are happening, so, and I miss a lot of things because I'm running around, but it's, you want to say anything?
Well, what I really think is really interesting is, like, it's having this platform, but what I really loved about Arts Wells and what I hope will happen here is that it serves as a catalyst to spurn other people on to create their own events and do it. Like, it's not rocket science. There's no sort of mercurial knowledge or special thing you need to do it. You just need to just do it, right? And you're going to learn as you go, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to figure it out, right? But I just think we get paralyzed thinking we can't do anything, and we all have the capacity to do so much more. And I just hope that this event does maybe inspire other people to think that they can do more as well, right? And put things on. And why is this now the exception and not the norm? Like, it seemed to me like community gatherings used to be far more the norm when I was a kid. Not a huge one, and certainly not that my family sought them out. But in our neighborhood, you'd have, like, your neighborhood, someone would throw a barbecue, or you'd have this, that, or the other thing. And I have very powerful memories of those as a kid, right? And I just when we travel, like, you just see how art, music, and culture is ubiquitous. It's as much as going to church on Sunday as going to the Zocalo after that down in Mexico. And everybody, regardless of your social economic stature, is out there on equal with everybody else, hanging out, celebrating with music and all that. And it's so amazing just how important art is in our lives and how dismissive of it we can be when it, based on that economic model. Like, You know, we don't go a day. There isn't a person alive in the world who doesn't go a day in their life that doesn't have a musical soundtrack to it. There isn't an event in our life that doesn't have a musical soundtrack in it. And so for me, music was always like the low-hanging fruit to get people into the art gallery. Like, they wouldn't come into an art gallery, but they'd come in for a concert, maybe, right? Maybe it'd be I did do crazy metal shows and stuff in the gallery in Grand Forks, but like different things. But once they get in there and they realize that it's a safe space that even they can be in, maybe they'll come back again. In the summer, I had a skateboard ramp in here. The kids trashed the place, drove me bonkers. But, every once in a while, I hear a story from some kid that was their summer, right? And that was my hope at the time, is that maybe at some point later on in life, they'll remember that summer that they tore up the gallery, right? And had fun there. And they were part of the exhibition. And so with the festival too, I just hope that's what it is, right? And it's been amazing to see all the other festivals that have sort of taken a hint of inspiration that have started as a result of somebody being involved in the festival and all that other stuff. And so that's incredibly heartening and encouraging and rewarding, And so, it's not like I didn't know anything about music before I started doing shows in an art gallery. Like, I knew nothing, but I just learned and just met people, and it all happened. And as a result of that, and just seeing how one thing is a catalyst to serve some other purpose that I had at the time. So yeah, it was remarkable. And I love your story about Wells, because my favorite stage at Wells was the basement of the community hall. Like, to me, that was by far one of the most amazing places I saw shows, was downstairs there. And I was there when I thought the floor was going to collapse too on many occasions. So
yeah, it
never did.
That was a fun moment.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, this is worth it if the floor caves in.
Yeah, like dust raining down, and just like, is that special effects or what's going on? Yeah, no, it was remarkable. But yeah, but those moments, and when people do share those, it's like, that's what makes it all worthwhile, is just to hear one person's experience that was transformative in some capacity, and and that's remarkable. And so, and then seeing all the amazing stuff that you're doing, right? Like, hearing your story at our industry connector was incredibly inspiring, and just the pride in what you take and what you do, and the commitment that you have to the course, right? And that's totally amazing. I'd rather build a festival that people buy tickets based on just your reputation without knowing a single person who's performing, and just come out and support it because they know and they trust the curation. And of course, it sounds like you also book a lot of the same acts over and over again as well.
I will, and as they move on and they get further, they're at a kind of another echelon that I won't touch anymore, if that makes sense, because I want to help the emerging ones. Like, I don't need to help a band that has 100,000 fans. If they want to come perform, sweet, but I'm not going to pay them $5,000 to do so.
Fair enough.
I'd rather bring up a band from Vancouver that's got 1,000 fans that's slowly building themselves up, get them into the Okanagan so they can build that fan base up, and then when they come next time, the show's packed.
Yeah,
that to me is more valuable than bringing in somebody who's worth $15,000.
100%. You'll never make your money back on that $15,000 band.
No, or even
or even anything, right?
Meeting your heroes. Yeah. They say never meet your heroes. I tried to book one of my favorite hip hop artists, I'm not going to name him, for the festival for this year as our headliner, and the rider alone scared me off. It wasn't even the price of it was the rider. Everything that came in has to be a 5-star hotel, has to be this kind of drink to the backstage, has to have a green room. It's Clancy's, bro. There is no green room.
Yeah.
Like, I can't offer that. I'm not going to. I'd love to have you, but I'm just going to say no. And that's like,
it's lovely to help people on the way up, but when they get there, it's even more amazing if they want to come back. Exactly. And don't even want to build them, just show up, because there's a huge endorsement of somebody just showing up in the audience, right? Mm-hmm. And that has value beyond anything. It creates a mythology around it. But if you're an emerging spoken word artist, and you look in the back of the room and Shane Koizan's sitting there watching your show, that's going to probably have some impact on you, right? And better yet, if he comes up to you afterwards and says, "Oh my God, I really love what you did," that's incredible. Or maybe get on stage with you. Who knows? But all those things are possible. And if you can create that environment where that can happen, it's pretty remarkable to think that people are feeling that they can make themselves vulnerable as an artist beyond what they normally do. Like, it's one thing to have a set list that it's controlled, I can do that. But if I'm willing to jump up and sit in with somebody and go somewhere that I have no idea where I'm going, that's remarkable. And if you can provide that experience, and that's what I think you're probably creating, what we want to create and have had happen. And those are the moments that you'll never, no ticket price will ever, be enough to be able to be in an audience to experience something like that. It's remarkable. So at the end of the day, the most valuable thing we own is community. And it's tenuous at best, but when you have it, it's magical. And, and it's worth, you'll never could put a price on it. You can't buy it. It just happens organically, right? And if you've created that with your festival, then that, that's remarkable. And it sounds like you have, and I know you have, but yeah.
Because it's a weird one. So like, I never really wanted to, like, it just kind of fell into my lap one day. I never, even this year, I didn't expect to do a festival. Clancy just reached out and was like, hey, can we do one? And I was like, give me 2 weeks, it'll be booked. Booked bands, everything was all set up, because I've got it down to, like, I'm super OCD. So I have it down to a science. It's like, it goes in the steps as I'm setting it up. And if those steps aren't done in that order, then I know something's gonna fail. And that's where it's now, I'm at the stage where it's just accepting bands and choosing which lineup, but everything's already set for sponsors and venue. And like, I'd make sure that those details are focused, because of my OCD, or like it goes haywire, because it's not me who puts it on. I'm the one, like, it's my idea and I'm the one backing it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the festival, it has nothing to do with me. It's my friends who are helping get the band off the stage in 10 minutes and switched over, and my girlfriend running the merch and making sure every band's merch is being sold and taken care of. And I literally do nothing on the day of, other than perform. So like, I'm really guilty to be like, I don't do nothing for the festival on the day of the festival, because I've already, like, it's been pre-lined up. So the day of the festival, I can just oversee and make sure it runs smoothly. And I think that wouldn't happen if it wasn't for, like, my handful of the team that I've built, which is just a handful of people. But the thing for me is, like, the full circle moments that always seem to come back, like right now having an interview with you guys, or for example, reaching out to one of my favorite bands that's from Kelowna that's just announced they're going to start performing again. Sadly, they can't play the festival because of the clause, which says they can't play for like 3 weeks after, and they're 2 weeks. So it's like they're playing a festival 2 weeks later would be ours. If there was a week later,
it's someone else's
because they're
clause.
So they have a clause where they're not allowed to play 3 weeks before, 3 weeks after, so we can't get them. But if the fact that they even admitted that they would do it was like Bleeding Alarm was, we hosted them at the Penticton Library in 2005.
Wow.
I was so young, and Dave Mai was in Ruckus at this time. Push for Protection was still playing, and we brought Bleeding Alarm down, and I opened up for Charles, and Charles told me if I continued, that I would make it. 25 years later, I asked if Charles can come play my festival, and he says, I'd love to if I was able to. So like those things where it's like, I haven't talked to him in years, but he still kind of remembers, and like you still have those connections. Those are more magical than ever being like making money off your festival.
Yeah, the relationships, right? It's building those relationships and seeing and then the relationships that come. Like we were at a wedding last summer, and it was two people that met at Artswells, and so they invited us because Artswells was a big part of how they met, and it just sort of really hit me in that moment, like all the relationships that might not exist if Artswells hadn't existed. And similarly, Ignite or these events, and how that was another sort of moment of like how valuable when people don't have the opportunity to just meet and build relationships, which is such a fundamental piece of being human is relationships, right? And I think there used to be many more of those kinds of interactions or opportunities for people to build a relationship. So it was profound to think about as these events become less, or these opportunities, that those relationships don't happen, and just what a what a loss for our whole, and thinking of sort of on a worldwide scale, it's like, wow, that is staggering. And no wonder so many more divisions start happening and people get isolated, and loneliness is the new smoking and things like that. It is so important for health and well-being of our species.
It is. And like, it's weird too to think like Woodstock made such a change globally. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just the movement that was behind it. It was the music, the people, the message that was there. It wasn't just a festival. Mm-hmm. And I think that message is what's missing nowadays. Like, most festivals are there to put it on because they want to sell tickets, and that they want to make money off of the artists, and artists want to make money off the festival. But it's like, the whole mentality of a festival, if you go back, was to bring people together, not make it like super cliquey and like, this is an EDM festival, this is a metal festival. That's where I'm a music festival. Like, we have metal, we have hip hop, we have that, but it's built up. So like, the first band is going to be rock or punk rock. Like, you warm yourself in. It's kind of like if you're going out for a night drinking. You don't want to like start slamming liquor hard, right? You want to have a couple beers. You want to build up to the heaviest music. And that's how I feel a festival should be. It's a music festival. You're there for an experience. You're not there for a select handful of bands.
Well, yeah, it's funny because I'm the executive director of the BC Music Festival Collective. So our whole thing is working together. But the thing that we mostly are working together on is the logistical things, whereas artistic planning, well, especially because we've got all sorts of different festivals that wouldn't, necessarily share acts. Some of them might, but it is, the artistic territory can sometimes be delicate because festivals are like, well, I don't want to just have the same lineup. But I do see a lot of festivals working together in different areas. I know we always, up at Arts Wells, we all knew kind of all the northern festivals. We had Edge of the World and Midsummer. Well, Midsummer was kind of in June, whereas Arts Wells was in August. So sometimes it doesn't really make sense to share artists. But yeah, Edge of the World and Kispiox and Bella Coola Music Festival and Robson Valley, and we do. It's like how to share artists. And a lot of the artists, were creating those sort of, they would know the festivals. Bop from, Kispiox was always the weekend before, and so there'd be a whole contingent, and then there'd be a bunch going from Arts Wells to Shambhala, not necessarily artists, maybe more the volunteer crew, and there's just all these different things. It's interesting, though, because I was just talking to an artist, and it's difficult because a lot of festivals are changing all their dates because of wildfire season and different impacts like that. And so it's throwing off what was kind of, everyone had sort of claimed their weekend and you sort of knew what the cycle was. And now it's, who knows? People are doing lots of different things. And so it's a challenging landscape out there for the summer. So you choosing to do indoor venues, I know Ignite is all indoor venues, and in an off-season time that we don't have to worry about, climate crisis for the most part. Because for summer festivals, I know that the anxiety is it will run high until their event happens, or in the case of Arts Wells last year, that was their first year coming back. And they had to cancel because of forest fires. The whole town of Wells and Barkerville was evacuated for at least a week or so. And that's definitely, having started Arts Wells in 2004, it was never even a thought.
That there'd be fires up there?
Never even a thought until 2017 when the Caribou had, I think there was 20 different fires that were all ignited simultaneously with a lightning storm that hit the beginning of July. And then, you know, Arts Walls was the beginning of August. So we had this whole kind of countdown. And it's like, this is when I learned how to run a festival in a state of emergency. And every
that's
other
another
Caribou
thing, too.
festival was canceling. There's a lot of pressure to cancel. I was getting messages, you know, criticizing the festival for not canceling. There was people who wanted to sell their tickets and couldn't sell their tickets. There was a lot of stuff. Yeah, that was a big learning curve. And we did actually run the festival, and we were very lucky that the highway reopened and there was a safe weekend, and it was a beautiful event actually. But that was it. Then from there on, it's been, you know, every year there's a festival that has to cancel. You know, obviously they're already started now. Not the canceling of festivals, but the forest fires.
The forest fires, yeah, I saw that the other day.
Yeah, I think we just need to all just show up more often and, you know, prioritize things that are important. And is community and meeting people and having that common shared experience more important than sitting alone at home watching TV, eating a bowl of ice cream? Probably, you know, like let's just get back to a point where, you know, like I said, you can't expect someone to do it 100% of the time, but start off at 10%. Go out once a week, once a month, you know, and just see how good that is for you. And then, you know, maybe that benefit will far outweigh not doing it. And maybe you'll go out twice a month, you know, or 3 times or whatever, right? And just don't say yes on Facebook. Put your money down and just do it, right? Like it's a small investment at the end of the day, but the repercussions of that small investment could ensure that we have a thriving, vibrant arts community here. And Penticton has everything it could be to be a vibrant arts, music, cultural capital of BC.
Oh, yeah.
We just need people to show up.
I think the one thing the Okanagan is lacking, and I'm a huge advocate for it, and I always probably sound like a complaint about it all the time on the show, but it's an all-ages venue.
I don't disagree.
The thing is, like, Penticton has taken away every aspect for the youth other than the golf course down by
And I don't think it's just
Sycamores.
Penticton, though. I think these are
Kelowna
spaces
as well, yeah.
that, like, all across communities and the province and the country, those kinds of spaces, for whatever reason. Like, and I don't know if it's liability, no one wants to take on the liability, or if it's just I think, you know, something that I really noticed at the festival, just for me personally, was it was for especially 2 of the days I was off my computer and my phone because I was so engaged in just talking to people and seeing performances, and I realized how good I felt being away from that screen. And there's just not enough times that we're away from our screen, you know, and I think for youth especially, like for someone who's grown up with a screen their whole lives, you know, I was born in 1977, so I went for a long part of my life without screens, except for television, which, you know, so, you know, I'm still part of that. But yeah, there's an important piece as well to like actually engage in real time, in real space with real people, and not having those places is like, there's very few sort of public spaces, third spaces, as they say, you know, where it's open and no barriers in terms of cost, and age would be another one. You know, we really do need to, and the gallery has tried to fulfill that on a number of occasions, and at the festival, that's certainly in our thoughts. You know, I brought up to you, though, there is the thought of liability too, of making sure it is safe. We did talk to the Foundry, which is a youth center here in Penticton, to see if we could partner on doing something and maybe holding it in their space, which, having toured it, it's not really set up for doing a live show there, but we're hoping to try and find ways, because I think, as you say, it's really sad that there aren't more all ages spaces, and making that accessible to the youth and make sense that you then don't have them engaged, and you know, there's just, that's so unfortunate.
I think another part is also licensing, right? Like, I think in Wells, like, one of the greatest things I loved about the festival there, and most festivals I've been to in the North, is just the fact that you have this intergenerational audience, right?
If there was any advice that you two could give to somebody who is trying to do what we do, but on a younger scale, because that's what we need, is some younger promoters, what advice would you give them?
Let's go first.
I would say that just you can do it. Like, if you have an idea, if you have a vision, the only way to know is to just do it. In the doing, you learn so much. And as you said earlier in the interview, you make mistakes, but it's only through doing those, like that right now, your cell phone going off on air. But really, like as Paul mentioned earlier, and I'm the same, I had no idea what I was doing, but had the passion. And that's pretty much how anything ever has happened in this whole industry. Or it's just someone's got the passion to just do it. And, and you can reach out for support or advice, but really start small, you don't need to start huge, but yeah, just do it.
I think it's just intent, really. It's just the doing it, but doing it for intent. If you're doing it because you're thinking to make yourself rich or famous or whatever, or get cred or whatever, no, if you come from a genuine place and you create an environment that is open, generous, and everything else, I think you reap what you sow. And I think if you are looking to make a quick buck, or you're looking to build yourself some credibility or whatever, I think you'll die a horrible death eventually. I think it'll eventually catch up to you. But I think if your intention is pure and genuine, and you're trying to create something because you want to build community and you're passionate about the people that you're trying to support, the reciprocity, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reciprocity?
Yes, will come back. I think you'll find, if you go in with genuine and clear intent, and this is the other thing too, like for me, be upfront. If you this is what I can offer you, this is what I'll provide, and you have the right of free will to say that works for me or it doesn't work for me, and that's fine. But that's what I can do, right? Don't over commit, don't over promise. Just be upfront. Say I can offer you $500. If that works for you, perfect. Don't come to me complaining you should have got paid more, because at the time you said it was great. But if I don't fulfill what I said I would do, I don't pay your money, or I pay it late, or I don't give you accommodation, whatever it is, then you have a beef with me. But if I can provide everything I promised and you agreed that, then that's great, right? And if we all come in knowing that that's where we're at and we're all working together to create a better place, I think it'll work out well for you. You're not going to get rich, but don't get into it because of that. It's the rewards that you get out of it are far greater and longer lasting and more impactful than making a quick $1,000 or something that weekend. And I think that goes for everyone in the whole system. So my advice would be, just be true to yourself and follow your passion, and don't screw people. Just be honest, just do the best that you can. And when you mess up, just say, for us, our third year of the festival we had no idea about sound, really. It wasn't our thing. And we thought we could get away with this, right? And it caught up to us, and we couldn't get away with that. We failed miserably. But everybody rallied around. We were 6 hours late on, we were starting, our last band was starting 5 a.m. or something like that. We're supposed to be done at 2, right? So it was ridiculous, but everybody rallied around, and other than one massive meltdown, which was totally justifiable, but maybe how it worked out wasn't justifiable, but it all worked out, right? And it galvanized us, as a committee and as a community to do better, right? And every year we learn a different thing, and we we fell short on that. Okay, maybe we need to put more attention to that. And as an artist, sometimes you just got to roll with it. As long as they're doing the best that they can, there's things that can come beyond your control. There's things that they just didn't know. We didn't know. That sucks. Maybe we should have done better with a sound tech who, wasn't having issues, right? Or whatever, right? Or put more focus into stuff like that. But yeah, it's the best thing you can ever do. It's been so rewarding for us, and the amount of doors and windows and places it's taken us, and people that we've met, and people we've seen go on to great success. And that's all really, really amazing to know that you were in some small way a rung in their ladder, right? And And some people, you just keep hoping that they're going to find greater success or something. I didn't learn the first time. Sorry. Geez, no, but no, it's an amazing journey. I just wish more people would step up and take a chance, right, and do it, because we need more people providing space and opportunities for artists, not just for artists, but for us to gather in general, right, and the rewards, yeah, they'll come, right, and there is nothing better than to be able to stand in the back of a room and seeing everyone just going off and just losing their minds on something that maybe they knew about, maybe they didn't know about it, but knowing that you had a part in bringing that all together and making that happen is one of the best drugs you can take, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's like, wow, look at this. Like, it all, I imagined it, I thought about it, I found a great team of people to help to actualize it. It actually remarkably happened. Mm-hmm. And look at this, like, things that, people are talking about years from now, or even in that moment we're having that thing. And then everything else that comes as a result of it is incredible. The connections you make, or, two people met, they go to their wedding years later, or they met and you see them performing as a new act, or all those things, like, you couldn't predict those things were going to happen when you got into it, but they do. And to think that you had some small part of that is incredibly rewarding and makes it all worthwhile.
Well, I want to thank you guys for doing this.
Well, thank you.
It's been an incredible sit down and talk, and a lot of magic moments. Well, thank you guys again.
Oh, thank you.
For your inspiring story.
Thank you. And we'll catch you guys next time.